مشاهدينا الكرام اهلا وسهلا فيكم بحلقه جديده من برنامجكم بقعه امل سبار اوف هوب، وبشرفنا اليوم نستضيف ضيف عزيز ومعطاء وكريم جدا، الحاج عماد الزيات. حاج ايمو، يعطيك العافيه.
الله يعافيك. السلام
Thank you for
عليكم.
being here. حبيبي عليكم السلام. Thank you for being here. Before we dive into the discussion with you, Haj, let me give shout out to everybody who is watching us right now. Please make sure that you share the video, make a comment, like, and let's this awesome story to be circulated among our community and beyond, because we truly have a spot of hope, and we'll talk about that. But before that, before diving into the actual story, let me also say, let me actually give a big shout out to What's Up Media Network for giving us the opportunity every Tuesday from 7:30 to 8:30 to highlight such positive and inspirational guests and stories as always. And also big shout out to all the sponsors of What's Up Media Network, Sling Arabic TV, over 130 Arabic channels, Mushahada Plus, BM Sports. All you gotta do to get a free membership for a whole week is to get in touch with What's Up Media Network staff. Also, of course, big shout out to a Spot of Hope sponsors. We've got Tahamas, one of the best restaurants that I love myself. So thank you, Madhat. You're the man. Ali Sharara from Century 21 Real Estate. Thank you. Marwan Faraj from Lemo Express. Mango's Dearborn, Fawaz Hazimi, and Tariq Fahas. Also, big shout out, as well as, of course, Princess Bakery, Ali Saad. Thank you so much for all these sponsors. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you share the video, make comments, and we will pick them up. Again, Emo, thank you so much for being here tonight. Tonight we've got a great show, and since we are really approaching the holiday season, that is Thanksgiving in a little bit over a month from now, and we've got Christmas afterward, and we just came out of Ramadan 2 months ago, not 2 months ago, but 3 months ago, 4 months ago, sorry. So we are in the midst of that, and we are, today we're set to talk about your great public service, your achievements. You're so humble. It's okay to enlighten people on what does it mean to be in the midst of all of that. But before that, my first question is, who is Imad Elzayat? Your childhood, your background.
Imad Elzayat is a little boy that grew up in the south end of Dearborn, to a mother and father, a Syrian father, a Lebanese mother, with three brothers, 2 other brothers, and 3 sisters. We grew up in a community that was what I believe is losing its, losing its tradition. A community of where it took a village to raise a child. And I can honestly say I'm a product of a community or a village that helped raise me. There was a lot of influential people in my life growing up. Growing up in the South End with very humble beginnings, where my parents still live today. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So, watching my father go to work 3 jobs, try to raise 6 kids on his own with a stay-at-home mom. It's something that's unheard of nowadays, where family looked out for us when my father was away at work. That's some of the traditions and things we're losing nowadays that I was blessed to have instilled with me, and try to instill it in my kids nowadays.
Yes. So basically, your dad worked 3 jobs, meaning you guys were financially, alhamdulillah, but no, you were not well off. But what made up that struggle is the sense of love, family, and care that you have received, you and your siblings.
Sometimes we use the term less fortunate, or underprivileged. That's only speaking in monetary. And
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. If I can go back and live my days, to choose live the way kids are living nowadays, or go back and live like I did when I was first came to this country in my childhood in the South End, I'd rather live those days. Monetary never. We as society, we use monetary as a form of status. But to me, we were happier back then. We had more family time back then. Our time was occupied amongst each other with family and friends, where nowadays social media's taking up most of our time. You sit with your kids, they're on their laptop or on their iPhones playing their games. We were a lot simpler back then, and you never needed a phone. Your parents always knew where you were at. Nowadays, you have to pick up the phone and check and see where your kids are at.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. We were a lot happier with a lot less back then than we are now with more. And I think that's that's part of society now. Everybody wants more, more, more. Instead of taking a step back and saying, Alhamdulillah for what we got, thank God, count our blessings for what we have as people, as a society.
Yes. Awesome. Where do you go to school, by the way? I mean, growing up in the South End with 5 other siblings, dad, hardworking individual, mom, staying home wife.
I'm a product of Salina School.
Awesome.
I did all the way up to 8th grade at Salina School. Then went on to Fordson High School. Did 4 years there. Played high school football at Fordson. Wasn't a student that I should have, my parents always wished I would have been. But, hopefully my kids will be able to make my parents prouder. But then we went on to to Henry Ford, and then went on to Grand Valley. And then came back, and we work for the Sheriff's Department now. But always, I think back and I try to explain to my kids, we used to take the bus to Fordson High School or get dropped off. Or we'd have my father would take it. I used to work a midnight shift on Dexter and Davison in the heart of Detroit, and then go to school in the morning. And you try to explain this to some of these kids, they tell you, no way, that's what your dad used to do to you? That's what we needed to survive, But we were happy. We were content with all that.
Yes.
And then we'd walk home from Fordson to the South End at 6 o'clock at night after football practice. Me and my cousin, just like it was nothing. It's a good 3 to 4 mile walk at least home at 6 o'clock at night after football practice, and we never thought nothing of it.
Nowadays they want to drive for their corner store.
Now I can't send my daughter to my in-laws who's 5 houses down
Yeah.
without her getting in her car.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. I'm asking all these questions so we can really get into the future of Imad Zayed. Back then, Imad finished university, and so what made you the guy who are you today? Is it something that you saw from your dad when you were young?
What made me is my community. I had influential people in my life. Probably somebody that Allah yarhamu, God bless his soul, Ali Berry, Popeye. We know him as Popeye, who our parents knew when they're at work. He introduced us to sports, introduced us to giving. He left marks on our life that 47 years later, we still talk about some of the things he's done for us. I had people like Allah yarhamu Imad Fadlallah in high school who pushed me, made me be proud of who I am, made me proud of my name, my heritage. We could easily lose focus of our heritage and where we came from, and just for people like that in my life, and I'm grateful for one of the most humble men I've ever come across as my father. I used to watch my dad, who was a carpenter, sit there and strip the copper inside wiring. And mind you, he struggled to take care of his family. He still took care of his mother. And he'd strip the copper and go sell it, and then donate the money he got from the copper, turn around and sell it, and add onto it and give it to the poor. So that was one of my biggest inspirations.
Wow.
So he knew whatever he had, he took care of his number one, his family, and anything extra, he went above and beyond to give to the needy. And we had guys like Allah yarhamu Popeye, who went above and beyond, knowing how our lives were. I would never forget, I was about 11 years old. It was my birthday, and they brought me a big a box, size of a stove, and he filled it up with confetti. And inside that box was just a small football. When I opened that box, I dug into it. That football still sticks in my head. Maybe 40 years later, almost 40 years later. That's how much it meant to me. So when we give back, especially what got me started is giving back to the children in our community, was things like this that stuck with me. And I say, oh, if it stuck with me, imagine what it'll do for a kid nowadays.
Sure. We'll come back to you, Emo. Just I have to give another shout out to our audience out there who are watching, and actually they also stand behind a great deal of our success here at the Spot of Hope. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing, making comments, and liking the video. Please make sure that you are sharing these videos, not just for the sake of sharing them, but because these stories and these guests really are worthy of our attention and our time, and they are a great lesson because they bring great memories from 40, 50 years ago, and they also do they do demonstrate. So, Emo, you are a living proof of hard work and generosity. Also, big shout out to What's Up Media Network sponsors, all sponsors, Sling Arabic TV, over 130 Arabic channels, BM Sports, Mushahad Plus. To get one free membership for a whole week, all you gotta do is get in touch with What's Up Media Network. And then also, big shout out to a Spot of Hope sponsor. We've got Marwan Faraj from Express. Thank you. Ali Saad from Princess Bakery. Thank you. We've got Madhat from Tahamas, thank you so much. And then we've got Ali Shara from Central 21 Real Estate, as well as we got Mango's Dearborn from Wazazimi and Tara Fahas, also thank you so much. See, it's very important, Emo, to give back to the community, no matter in which amount that is. It could be in $1. I mean, if someone is able to give $1, don't be ashamed of that. What do you say to that, since your dad was in spite of his day in and day out working to provide for his family, yet he used to strip off the copper just to sell it and to give all the proceeds out of that to the needy. What do you say to people that, two things. Number one, those who request a certain amount of money, meaning they only accept or expect high amount, and then for a lot of people who also are ashamed of giving low amounts.
To me, giving is not always money. Allah Yarhamu Popeye used to take us to sporting events. If it wasn't for people like Allah Yarhamu Popeye, Ali Berry, me and guys like Haj Walker or guys like Mike Mashur would have never seen this stuff. Our parents never knew this stuff. Being first generation Arab Americans, we would have never seen this stuff. We would have never been to a sporting event. So what I tell people is, sometimes don't give me your money. Give me your kid. Let them get involved. Let them see how some of they might be students or friends of theirs who they least expect are going through hard times. Let them see others, not as a show and tell, but a way of appreciation. Appreciate what you have and how it picks up their spirits. What we do is, we don't like to give used stuff. I try to avoid giving used to any kid. I'll go out and buy something because I've learned in our community, which is a very generous community, I can give a kid a used coat or a used football. But what's going to take me to ask you for $5 and I put $5 and Hassan put $5, that's $15 right there. I can go buy a brand new coat and put the kid's name on it and he'll be so much happier. He'd appreciate the coat that was used. But how would he feel when he gets a new item? Some of these kids have never gotten that. So to me, it's not always monetary. We've offered to take kids to sporting events. I've taken kids to just get a haircut. And I've taken them out to eat. You know what they tell me? I've never put gel in my hair. They're so shocked, these kids. They're so appreciative. I told them, order anything you want off the menu. They didn't know how to react. So people think it's always monetary. Sometimes time is more valuable than money. And there's so many kids that need a big brother or a big sister to be in their corner, somebody to talk to, somebody to hang out with, somebody to spend time with. It's not always about money. Money is great, but sometimes just knowing somebody's in your corner means more than money.
Sure. And is that why you found the Amity Foundation?
Yes.
So is that the major reason behind, all of these, obviously, endless passion for public service, for giving, for forming that big brother for all our, younger people, the youth, the mentor. So is that really why? Is it the Amity Foundation?
Yes, that's 100% why. You know,
When was that about? How did the idea come? Like, okay, so when did you decide to shift your efforts from an individual efforts to more of an organized, meaning official one?
well, if you don't mind me taking you back a little bit,
Of course.
when we first started into this, I was on a field trip with my daughter. And I happened to be sitting on the bus and I looked down and I see a kid whose one shoe was normal. The other shoe, the whole top of it was cut off and all she had was her soles were barely attached. So I looked at the teacher, I told the teacher, this is my number. As soon as we get to the school, I'm taking off the target. You call me when you get the shoe size of this kid and I'm going to buy this kid a new pair of shoes. She goes, well, Mr. Elzayat, how about if his parents don't accept it? I go, it's not up to his parents. I'm doing my humanitarian obligation, and I'm buying this kid a pair of shoes, and if his parents don't want to give it to him, then every time he comes to school, you let him put these shoes on. So I went to the Target. She calls me. I bought her 2 pairs of shoes and handed them to her. Later on that summer, I was hanging out with a friend of mine, Mohammed Kafish Beydoun and Haj Walker, and our wives, because we're all one big circle. I was telling them,
Shout out to everybody else.
So I was telling them, you know what? This Ramadan, we're going to feed one family a day. No matter what it is or who it is, we're going to feed one family a day.
So 30 families.
30 families. No, it was the same family. No, we had about 15 families, and we try to feed them 2 to 3 days a week. So we juggle it. That's how we do it.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So what started off as just a gym shoe, then it went to Ramadan, and I had leftover money. I said, I can't keep this money from people who find out what we're doing. It was very small. So I had leftover money. I said, you know what? School's coming up. Let's do 50 backpacks. So we passed out 50 backpacks to needy kids. It was like to one school. And then from that, Thanksgiving came on board, and we raised some money, and we did 15 cooked turkeys. At the time, they used to be deliciosa. I don't know if you remember it. He cooked them for me, and they're hot meals on Thanksgiving. We delivered them all to their homes.
So one thing, brought the other one.
So it became like a snowball. And then and I also still had a little more money left over. I said, you know what? Let's buy some coats for these kids. So we bought the kids' coats. So what started off is, a couple meals, couple coats, couple Thanksgiving dinners, couple backpacks. Alhamdulillah, it spread like wildfire. To this year, we've done over 2,200 meals during Shahr Ramadan.
MashaAllah.
And they're all fresh cooked meals from local restaurants. We did over 1,200 backpacks with full school supplies, all to Dearborn Heights and Dearborn Public Schools. We've already ordered over 1,000 turkeys for the Thanksgiving.
This upcoming one, you mean?
This upcoming Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I pre-ordered 900 brand new coats that are sitting in my garage right now for kids in need in the wintertime, and all brand new. Because to me, I have a theory that might be different than anybody else's. If I don't eat it, I won't feed it to you. If I don't wear it, I won't give it to you to wear. Yes, less fortunate, some people would wear the used, but if I can afford to give you something new, I'm going to give you something new. If it's going to pick up a kid's spirits. To me, it's all about, it's like a 50-50. 50% you want to keep the kid warm, but 50% you also want to make the kid feel good about himself. You know what I'm saying? And when he gets a coat, and I go through the trouble of putting his name on it, he gets his coat, and he says, "Oh my God, it says my name, John Doe." He, really puts. You'd be surprised what it does to a kid.
Sure. I want to ask you a question, Imo, and I do hear this all the time. So so many people, they are really surprised. They become really shocked. Just them hearing, oh, is somebody poor for real? Like, it's unbelievable. I mean, what do you say to that? And have you ran to that same scenario and you took somebody by the hand and you proved that, yes, there are so many people in need, and most importantly, that we don't need them to come out and cry and whine, meaning, like to put their stuff out there until we help them out. But yes, there are people who are in need. There are people who are in desperate need too. As you said, I mean, kids never used gel in the past. I mean, for some, they might say, no way.
Something as simple as gel. For the people that tell me, oh, you're living in America, I get this a lot. In America, there's people starving. I tell them, don't give me a monetary donation. Why don't you and your son or your daughter get in a car and make one of these food deliveries? And sometimes you just look at the outside of a house.
Yes.
You don't know what's going on inside.
It might be empty, actually.
It might be empty.
Yeah, no furniture.
I've had houses where, I can only dream of being in, but every meal has a story.
Yes.
I've questioned some of these houses that we've delivered to, and when I've questioned, and the only reason I question it, it's not like I don't have faith. I question it because the people are trusting me with their money. So I've checked with my resources and asked them about this so-and-so's house or this so-and-so, this person's house. You know what they tell me? Well, that lady that you're questioning about, her husband died. She has 4 or 5 kids. She don't speak the language. The house might have been paid off. So I've learned
to never judge.
Never judge. Don't judge it. I'm pulling up to a house on Oakman or on Manor or in Dearborn Heights, and they're nice houses, but there's a story inside that house.
Yes.
And we shouldn't judge. No one made us God.
Yes.
So we shouldn't judge nobody.
Sure. That's awesome. Regarding your foundation, today, you're the man behind everything.
I think
yourself.
I'm not being humble. Yeah. I'm being honest right now.
Yeah.
I'm not the man behind everything. I'm the face. The people
You're
behind
the
us.
face that runs the place.
I'm just the face, and not a pretty one. I'm just the face. The people that run this organization.
I can't see that about it.
And they're gonna kill me for saying their names. Is people like Haji Lani, my wife Haji Danielle.
Big shout out to everybody.
Haji Zainab. These are my motivation. These are the brains that gets the ball rolling.
Come on, man.
And they come to me, and I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Haji Lani is, if you see her during Ramadan and Thanksgiving, she can't stand more than this high, Smallah, but has the heart of a lion.
Alhamdulillah.
And she does so much for us. My wife is always handling a lot of the messages, the PR stuff that I have to. Sometimes I gotta send messages out to schools or whatever. She does a lot of that stuff. Haji Zainab's always there for whatever I need from her, moral support, or whether it be helping with baked goods or whatever for a family. We've baked goods for families and given it to them like a surprise, like a kid. She has Z Sweets. She has a little. She bakes out of her house cakes. So we deliver them to these kids on their birthdays to make them feel good about it. To me, it's all about picking up a kid's spirits.
That's awesome.
When we started,
plant a smile on somebody's face.
Exactly. And when we started, it was all about the kids. And to this day, it's all about the kid. We've taken on projects that we never were intended to. But whatever comes our way, we tend to tackle it. If there's not if you bring it to me, I'll find a way, with all our resources in our community and all these young adults, I'm sure we can get it done.
Sure. We're going to get to that. Before we go to the commercial break, Emil, before the commercial break, I want to ask you a question too. So you got these 3 great helpers, which big shout out to each and every single one of them. And of course, big shout out to each and every single supporter, donor, and a believer in your mission and what you do. Among our youth, our younger generation, do you have a roster? Meaning, hey guys, it's Thanksgiving, we need to deliver or serve over 1,000 families or individuals. Come on now. Is that what happens nowadays, or are you still having some hard time doing that?
No. It's actually gotten, and alhamdulillah, it's gotten easier. They are the three brains of the operation, and those three ladies. But the way I do things is, I have a WhatsApp chat, all my volunteers, and I send it through there. This time, this place, and our community, whether it be the football team at Fortson, the football team at Dearborn High, whether it be the young students at U of M and Wayne State, the Muslim groups or whatever groups they may be, have all never let the Amity Foundation down. We've had so much support, which is a blessing, that last year we delivered 1,150 turkeys in less than 2 hours. Unpacked the truck, packed them, and delivered them. So volunteers has never been an issue for us. It's our biggest issue, alhamdulillah, and it's a reflection of the community, is keeping them busy. That's my biggest problem. I wish I was able to do something every day for them, just to have these young kids, these young adults around us, because it picks up my spirits more. It does more for me than it does for them. Yes. To see this following.
Yes. After the commercial break, Emo, we gotta talk about the youth, more from a charitable, how involved they are, athletic, how athletic, activities they are involved in, and basically the issues and the challenges that they are encountering as well. But before we go to the commercial break, I have to give a shout out to all the audience out there, to each and every single person who's watching us. Thank you for making each comment and for sharing and liking the video. And also big shout out to What's Up Media Network, all the sponsors, especially also Sling Arabic TV, over 130 Arabic channels, BM Sports, Mushahada Plus. If you want to get one free membership for a whole week, all you got to do is get in touch with What's Up Media Network staff. Big shout out to A Spot of Hope sponsors, Ali Saad from Princess Bakery, big shout out. Marwan Faraj from Mom Express, big shout out. Medhat from Tahamas, big shout out. Ali Sharara from Center 21, real estate, big shout out. And of course, Bangos Dearborn, Fawaz Hazim and Tariq Fahas, big shout out as well. Gentlemen, we're gonna come back. Stay tuned. Just a quick commercial break. We'll be back. Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of our show, A Spot of Hope, with a great guest, Emo Elzayat from the Amity Foundation. We discussed in the first half his background, the activities that he does, and the second half we'll talk about the youth, our community, the challenges, the concerns that he holds and he is thinking about, and what it's going to take, to tackle that, as well as the future of the Amity Foundation and the upcoming events and projects. So, Emo, welcome back. Again, thank you so much for your valuable time. It's much appreciated. So basically, we're going to talk about the youth a little bit. We are hearing a lot of concerns about our youth. And one of the many ways that they can really become really busy is to get involved in such humanitarian acts like yours. And through football, soccer, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever it is, kickboxing, Something that keeps them busy and keeps them in a great company and great positive spirit. So today, from your involvement, you are the product of this community. Although you were not born here, but you were here since 7 months old.
Yes, sir.
So I think you can imagine the first time you landed here in Detroit. So pretty much as if you were born and raised here, pretty much. What is it that, and you mentioned in the beginning how simpler, better, more comfortable the life used to be back at your time when you were a child compared to now. So today, if I may ask you, what are the top 2 challenges that our youth and our younger people are facing?
Well, thank you for having me first.
Of course.
Alhamdulillah. I think one of the biggest challenges is social media, which is becoming the gateway to a lot of the problems in our community, whether it be into vaping or drugs and stuff. But I think that's probably our biggest problem. But when it comes down to the youth and giving back, I think there's not a shortage of it. The problem is you're seeing more people wanting to do good in front of cameras and doing it where I believe is for the wrong reasons. We have at the Amity Foundation, and I'm very blessed and humbled by the response we get from a lot of our students and kids at the high school like Forts and Crestwood and Dearborn High, who come out in large numbers to do charity work. And the best part about it is when they graduate and they go on to college, they come back to me and they say, can you help me start my own nonprofit? And my theory is with the Amity Foundation is if I can push a kid to start a nonprofit and to flourish and maybe one day become the next Red Cross, in our culture, in our religion, next up ajr. What more ajr do you want? You've helped this kid grow and become a flourishing flower, a beautiful flower. So to me, volunteers and the youth is not a problem. It's actually a gift that we have.
Yes.
It's just you got to have the right person and the right avenue to reach these kids. And I coached Little League football for like 10 years and then got away from it and became like a mentor around the Forts and football program for probably the last 8 to 10 years and went back to coaching last year. And the reason I went back to coaching is because my big brother, Haj Walker, called me. He needed some help. But it was also a way to reach out to these kids, to keep them in my corner. So they know, okay, if they got a problem, there's a big brother to call.
Sure.
And if I needed them, they're a phone call away. And I have kids that come to me during practice. November 23rd, Coach, I'm going to be there. I want to pass out turkeys. They're excited, because they've been doing it for the last 3 years.
Yes.
So it's kind of grown on them. It's how you communicate with these kids nowadays. And I think that's the gift that I have with them. Even as their coach, I never call my kids. I'm always talking to my players. I don't refer to them even the non-Arab. I refer to them as Ammo. Because I look at them as like my little nephews.
Yes.
So they seem to respond more and better with me because the kind of contact and the way I talk to them. It's always been Ammo. Even the non-Muslims, they laugh at me, and the non-Arab, when I come, hey, Ammo.
They probably memorize that term.
They know the term now. Now when they see me, they greet me with hello, Ammo. So it's how we approach these kids and the way we communicate with them.
Sure.
We got to be that support line that we got to always keep it extended.
Sure.
And that's from people in my life that's always extended it, even when I was, maybe going astray, and always kept that line of communication with me. That I'm blessed to be able to learn and reach out to these kids in that same manner.
Let me ask this question. With all that you do, which is, of course, highly appreciated.
All that we do.
Of course, it is fruitful. It is bringing some about great results. But then, what is it that you feel that maybe something going on in the household? I mean, like, how do you communicate with the parents? Is that something that you also try to do to build a bridge between the house, the kid, and you, meaning the football team or the school, or, because this is very important. I mean, how do you feel about that?
It's hard. It's really difficult to build a line of communication with a lot of our parents. A lot of the kids that we're dealing with nowadays are first generation Arab Americans who came over from Iraq, or from Syria, or from Lebanon, or from Yemen. So the parents are still stuck in that, worry about my house, you worry about your house. So me, I focus on the kid and when the kid's with me. So if I can impact this kid, and if he's going through hard times at home, he's got that lifeline to be able to contact me, and I can, help him out without the parents there. Let them know that I've had kids tell me, you're like the father I never had, and his father's still alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I try to be that lifeline that when need be, I'm there for them.
That's awesome.
I try to avoid dealing with parents because I know some parents can get very volatile real quick. When you tell a kid, okay, your son's doing this 1, 2, 3, or maybe something going on at home. Your son needs some. He's complaining about this. It can turn on me real quick. So I try to avoid the parents. Leave that for the special one-on-one, and just focus on the kid. Let him know that he's not alone.
I see. So, regarding the football team, because that's also their part of what you do. So you mentor these kids through the football team as well and through athletics. So what is your role, beside assisting Haj Fuad, Coach Fuad in the football? I mean, is it more of, these values? Because you make an awesome life coach.
It really is. To me, Haj Fuad coaches the varsity.
Sure.
I'm one of the coaches on the JV.
Okay.
I try to teach our kids. We use sports as life lessons, especially being Arab American. We have more obstacles now than I had when I was a kid. Not just with social media, but with media, period. The stereotypes that Arab Americans have to go through. So I try to teach our kids, the way you conduct yourself on the field is going to be a reflection of your school, your community, your family. So there are a lot of life lessons that's taught through sports with our kids. And they've been nothing but very receptive and pretty good for them.
Sure.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. What else coming up in the future? So you work for the sheriff department. You're a football coach. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm worked for 22 years for the sheriff's department, almost 21 and a half years in the sheriff's department. A father of 3 daughters, a husband to Danielle, to the chief of staff of Homeland Security, and the chief of staff of my house. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. God bless.
That's a rizqah. But the future for the Amity Foundation is really it's a vision. My vision with the Amity Foundation is to bring our community together.
Okay.
We are tackled with a lot of obstacles, a lot of division that's not warranted. It's not humanitarian. It's not Islamic. It's not. It's everything it's everything wrong, I believe. So what I try to do is I try to break barriers between. Sad to say, and I don't want to get into the religious topic, but Shia, Sunni Shia, Muslim Christians. I try to bring us all together at a level playing ground where we're all equals.
And this is very relevant because, from you celebrating and contributing to different occasions, especially like religious occasions like Ramadan, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and having this diversity, this is the biggest proof. So that's really awesome.
This Shahr Ramadan, I got a phone call from one of our volunteers. Calls me, goes, Haji Imo, you know these 3 houses that we delivered to, they're non-Muslims. I told him, yes, I know that. I go, are they in need? She goes, by the looks of their house. And I go, yes. I go, were they very welcoming? They go, yes. I go, then just give them the food. And I knew they were non-Muslims, but I just wanted to see how they took it in terms of our volunteers. We don't look for, even during Ramadan, which is an Islamic holiday,
Sure.
holy month, we looked even for non-Muslims to feed.
Absolutely.
So when our Prophet, peace be upon him, fed and took care of his Christian and Jewish neighbors, we over here nowadays, fast forward thousands of years, have a problem with one another. And if we can't come together in this community, and when I say community, I'm not talking the Arab American community, I'm talking the community as a whole. No matter what race or color you are, or religion, that you're part of my community. If we can't come together now, when are we going to move forward as a community? As one.
What is your vision? You said to make the community together, to bring the community together. So how are you going to go about that? And what is the best method that you'll be using to do that, though? Do you have an idea yet, or it's still under...
You know, right now, we're
The chief of staff still thinking about it?
and chief of staff, we're waiting for the three-headed monsters, the 3 wives, to come together with an idea. But I try to do it through sports. That's one thing I know. Is
Sports?
That's how I reach out to a lot of these kids. And I've been blessed where I coach at Fordson, and I'm blessed where you have African American kids, you got
Sure.
Yemeni American kids, you got Arab American kids. So we got a very diverse football team.
Absolutely.
And I try to, not make one feel any less than the other, no matter what the race. And I try to teach them as family, and I greet them the way we greet each other, and they know how I feel about them, no matter what their race is. And that's how I try to reach these kids. That way, when they go and they're with their friends or amongst their friends who are not Arab American, or so they can explain how we are as a family over here. We don't see race.
So sports is your major pathway, because you already got the audience there, and it's a diverse audience, and they're doing something great. At the meantime, they're involved in humanitarian obligations and charity work. But what about Amity Foundation, though? I know that you are the engine, you are the muscle, right? And then you've got 3 brilliant mindsets and brains that are working strategically behind you. But then the future. So, I mean, God gives you much more strength and prosperity, but then at some point things might get out of control. So are you thinking about establishing a board or
Well,
to expand that? And
it's funny you say that. I had a meeting yesterday, with a young lady who came to me and says, Imo, you've done great things in our community. And I tell her, we have done great things in our community. I'm only one man. She goes, okay, we have done great things. I tell her, she tells me, how can we take it to the next level? What do you need from me to take the Amity Foundation and this community to the next level? And I told her, for us to grow, we're gonna need fundings. Whether it be grant funding, which would be huge. And I told her, she goes, well, in what avenue do you want to take that grant funding? Grants, you got to apply for a grant for whether it be for food or whether it be. I tell her, you bring me a grant.
very specific, yeah.
You bring me a grant for picking up dog poop, and I'll pick up dog poop. Whatever it takes this community to clean it up and come together as a whole, I'll do it. There's nothing that we won't do or won't try to tackle to see these young adults working with one another instead of against one another.
Sure. I'm going to come back to you, Imo. I want to give another shout out to everybody who's watching us. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for sharing the video, for liking it. And thanks to WhatsApp Network once again for giving us the platform to air live every Tuesday to share with all of you such amazing stories and personalities. Also, shout out to all the WhatsApp Media sponsors, Sling Arabic TV, over 130 Arabic channels, BM Sports, Mushahada Plus. Please, if you want to get a free membership for a whole week, all you got to do is get in touch with the WhatsApp Media Network staff. Also, a big shout out to A Spot of Hope sponsors. We've got Marwan Faraj from Memo Express, thank you. Ali Saad from Business Bakery, thank you. Ali Sharara from Century 21, thank you. Mango's Dearborn, Fawad Hazimi, and Tariq Fahas, thank you. As well as Medhat from Tahamas. Did I say that already? I think I did. Sorry about that. But his chicken burgers are very delicious. I can't. I can't.
Medhat's a legend.
Medhat's a great guy. So for Ali, Marwan, and Ali, and Fawad and Tariq, of course, like everybody else. So you talked with this young lady, about the way and what you need, and so what's your vision as far as seeing happen? So I get it that you want to get the community together, what it takes to bring everybody on the same table, love one another, and get rid of the hate. But are you envisioning a center? Are you envisioning, just so why not? So we can all together as one community to make it a community initiative. Well, what is it that you're looking for, or that you hope to see done one day?
You're gonna get me in trouble. I have a different philosophy than a lot of nonprofits. Everybody that does anything for the Amity Foundation does it for Rabbna subhanahu wa ta'ala, does it for God. God's blessings. Nobody gets paid. I do everything out of my house because I don't believe in brick and mortars. Now, if somebody offers me a building, an office space, and I don't have to take your donation, hey, I'll use it. Mike Mackey's building a community center in Dearborn Heights with the old Canfield Center. He's offered me office space for free. So I try to go by the philosophy as long as I can to do work without taking people's money to pay for my bills. I don't believe that you give me a $100 donation, 75 of it should go to, say, the poor, and 25 go to pay my electricity bill. So I've tried to
use it all
straight to the
cause.
needy. Yeah,
understand. But then to grow and to generate even more good deeds. Okay, I get it. No profits here, because in charities there shouldn't be any profit. At least intended, meaning, if someone is generous enough, and hey, you requested 1,000 turkeys, here I'm going to give you 2,000 turkeys, for example. Because the great people are still out there. We still have a lot of great people out there, very generous people. So we take that. But then to generate good deeds and to have bigger impact within our community in Dearborn, and as you said, when we say community, south, north, west, east,
our
everything
boundaries
in between. And anywhere else in the region. So why is it? Don't you think that by you not following this philosophy, you are limiting more resources and more help to more people? Just a question.
No, I don't. I do. If in the past 8 years we've went from 30 to 45 Ramadan meals to 2,200 in 7 to 8 years. Alhamdulillah, sky's the limit. We haven't been handcuffed or anything. We've helped with burying family, loved ones of people who couldn't afford it. We've helped with changing people's windows and people's roofs that couldn't afford it for the elderly. We've helped with helping with the blind, all from my house, all from people, the Hanini Cultural Center who'd give me their hall, or Hype that gives me something, or Pride Inc. that would give me their storefront to do things. I've learned there's a lot of places out there that are willing to give up space to do good, But yes, if we're gonna have to take it to the next level, and like I told this young lady, if you can get me federal grants, I'll use the government's money to open up a soup kitchen, or to open up something, or a building, get a building or whatever with the government's money, as grant money. What I should say is with grant money. But I don't feel comfortable taking, okay, Khodr gives me $100, $75 go to the needy, and 25, okay, I gotta pay the electricity bill, or I gotta pay the rent on this building. So I've considered it, but to me there's gotta be strict rules and guidelines.
Well, I pray that somebody might love to get some great deeds, ongoing, lifetime, and he might say, hey, let us build, this is my money, I'm going to donate from my own pocket, whatever it costs to open up a center like that, and it'll be under, any name you name it, Amity Foundation, anything you choose, and here we go. What about that?
Alhamdulillah, inshallah.
Inshallah, ya Rabbi.
Ya Rabbi,
Inshallah.
isma' minnak.
Inshallah. Look, keep on what you're doing. Because trust me, God is up there, God is awesome. And again, we still have a lot of great people, a lot of generous people out there, a lot of supportive people in our community, especially and outside. Because, even in the midst of the negativity that is going on, even in the midst of what's going on, we never failed, to basically help. And speaking of help, Emo and our audience, please allow me to recognize one of our community members, Hassan Saleh, who is struggling and he's fighting stage 5 of kidney failure, and he is looking for some financial donation. They did find a donor, thank God. He's been struggling for the past 8 years with dialysis and everything else. So all what they're looking for is, I believe, about $8,000. And our community never really failed to help anyone who is in need. So if we, as one community, as Emo has been saying for the past 55 minutes, if we can get together to help this young man, he's 21 years old, let us bring him back happier and healthier to his family more than ever, we would make a big favor. Not only, for him or for ourselves, but, to God as well, because this is, as you said, Emo, this is a humanitarian obligation. This is what we're supposed to do as humans, regardless of our race, our ethnicity, background, language, color, and social and economic status, education, whatever. So this is, I always want to highlight this, and what else you can tell? What you can do rather be more than you can do, right?
No, you can.
You can only try what you can do.
You can only do as much as you can. What's God's given you, and if it's not monetary, it can always be emotional support.
Sure.
Spread
the word at least.
Spread the word.
At least, yeah.
You touched on something earlier that really hit me. That really hit me was about parents and helping the youth. We have a problem here in today's society, and not just with the first generation Arab Americans. It's communication between the parents and the kids. And I think that's what's failing our kids nowadays. Kids look for other avenues for support, and it's not always the right avenue. To me, I've always been, whenever, they ask me as a father, how do you raise 3 daughters? I tell me, be their best friend. Let you be the support.
Yes.
Nobody, and I've told my daughter this when she was in 8th grade, I go, remember this, if you have any problems in school or outside of school, you come to your father. Because nobody's going to be able to protect you like your dad will. Let your kids, there should be a window. Society is different than it was when we grew up. Our parents were a lot more strict. Their word was golden. What they said went. They ruled with an iron fist almost. But my father was always, yes, his word, he never had to repeat it twice. And not that he was violent or that he was abusive, it's out of respect. I've always respected my father, everything he's told me. I've followed it as close as I can to the T. Kids nowadays are losing that. Our kids nowadays, I grew up, before I acted, I'd think. Ana ibn Hassan al-Zayyat. I'm not Imad al-Zayyat. Ana ibn Hassan. So I'm a reflection of my father.
Yes.
And of my parents.
God bless your family.
So the way I act, they're not going to say, oh, this is Imad Elzayat. They're going to say, Hida ibn Hassan Elzayat. So I'm a reflection of my parents. So I've always thought ahead. How am I going to keep my parents proud? How am I going to not let them be upset? And if I had a problem, I knew I've always had that window. My father's always kept that line of communication, that if something is bothering you, nothing's too big and nothing's too small to come to your own parents and open up to. You can tell them. So when you ask me about how can we work with these parents and the kids, it's something that the parents need to work with their own kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I can be that other line of communication for their kids, but they need to be the primary. You know, back in the days, you tell a parent, I seen your son smoking weed or doing drugs or whatever. They tell you, nowadays, you go to tell a parent, I seen your son doing this. Yeah, well, I seen your daughter and your son doing this, and they make up stuff just to cover their own problems.
Or at least they don't admit it.
Yes.
Yes, which is very wrong. I think, sorry, Imo, I think we've got a question over Facebook. Is that right, Hussein?
Yes, we touched on it. Yes.
Yes. Touch on it. So
to me, it's the communication between the parents.
Yes, that's why I mentioned it earlier, because I know a lot of people, they think that the mentor, in your case now, you yourself, parents think that you do everything, and oftentimes, or the school does everything for their kids, but then we forget the house, because that's right there.
It starts at home.
It starts at home, exactly.
They want the teachers, they want their coaches, they want the police to raise their kid, or whoever it may be. But at the end of the day, and the mashayikh to raise their kids. Yes. No, it starts at home.
I mean, it's a network.
It's a big network.
But definitely it starts from home.
But the membrane's at home.
Yes.
Whether it be like with the drug problem.
Wow.
When our parents quit living in denial, our mothers and fathers quit living in denial that their kid has a drug problem, we can be able to tackle this. Okay, you come to me, you say, my son has a drug problem. Okay, how can you help me? You're his coach and I'm his parent. Okay, you're his parent at home. I can be his parent on the football field. Okay, Flan, come here, what's going on? Keep an eye on them. And then I can ask around. Okay, who are the troublemakers? Who's the bad company? Who's the drug dealer amongst them? We can work together to clean them up.
Sure.
But if they're gonna live in denial, how can I help you if you're not want to help him yourself?
Absolutely. Imo, wow, you're amazing. Your story is amazing. What you're doing is amazing. I know you're humble, and I know that you want to give it back to the three chief of staffs.
Really, the three-headed monsters, the chiefs of staff. But honestly,
big shout out to each and every one of them, by the way, with all seriousness. But you're so humble, and that really priceless. What you're doing is amazing, and you can't buy kindness, you can't buy generosity, and in the meantime, you can't buy respect that you certainly possess, among our community members and everybody else. What would be a last word or a comment, Imo, for everybody, for our audience, for the community, and for everybody else?
My last words are, we have an amazing community. I won't trade this community in for anything.
Yes.
Whether it be the monetary support, which is very minimal, on a chart where it matters. The youth involvement that we see and we are blessed to have is what made the Amity Foundation, and more as of what made me. These young kids that believe in me and that stand by my side. When we're working together and I'm in the dumpster cleaning up and doing it, means more to me than anything in this world. The belief of I'd love to see the belief of it takes a village to raise a kid be reinstilled in our community, and break any walls or barriers of religion, race, in our community. Awesome. And nationality. To me, that's my biggest vision. But at the end of the day, there's a few people that every day I wake up and I go to sleep, and one way or another they impact my life.
Sure.
And they're people that I spoke of earlier, my parents, my mother and father, Hassan Zayed, Haji Tufi Sar'ine Zayed, and Allah Yarhamu Ali Berry and Imad Fadlallah. You know, they're big parts of our lives that we are who we are today as a community, and who left us at a young, too early. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, they're in a better place, inshallah, and you know, to me, I owe a lot to them, and everything we do, هن بيكسبوا الأجر with us, because they're one of the true founders and pioneers of what we do today. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, your gratitude, I mean, you being so grateful is really nice also, besides you being humble. And it's nice to show your gratitude. Emil, thank you so very much. One last question before we end is how people can get in touch with you or the foundation.
I'm probably the easiest guy to get a hold of, whether it be on social media or I just call my cell phone, 313-207-0244. I use my personal number for the Amity Foundation. I use it for a business that I have, and I use it for my personal use. So that's
awesome.
The best number to get a hold of me at.
Okay, and then your Facebook is?
It's Emo Elzayat.
Emo Elzayat. Well, Emo, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you for sharing with us everything. And shout out to you and your family. God bless you. Wish you much more health, prosperity, and strength, and anything that we can do here at What's Up Media Network and a Spot of Hope that we can help you to push your message forward. You know, let us know. We'll be more than happy to cooperate for the sake of the public good. So thank you once again for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this episode tonight. You saw a great spirit, a great positive story, and a great generous human being. Let us all help him out by reaching out and contribute to the Thanksgiving drive that is coming up, and as well as Christmas and everything else above and beyond. Check out his Facebook page and see how you can support. Big shout out to What's Up Media Network as well for giving us the platform to share with all of you this great platform. Big shout out to the sponsors of What's Up Media Network, Sling Arabic TV, over 130 Arabic channel, BM Sports, Mashahad Plus. To get one free membership for a whole week, all you gotta do is to get in touch with What's Up Media Network staff. And big shout out to the sponsors of A Spot of Hope, Baqat Amal. We've got Midhat from Tahamas, thank you. Ali Sharara from Central 21, thank you. Marwan Faraj from Lemo Express, thank you. Mango's Dearborn, Fawaz Hazimi and Tarafa, thank you. And then Ali Saad from Princess Bakery for the Umara, thank you so very much. Our audience, thank you also so very much. Any ideas, any thoughts, any concerns, you know, anything that you guys, you know, if you guys ever need to communicate with one of our guests, or if you have any suggestions about someone that you like to see us interviewing, please reach out to us either through my Facebook page, Khodr Farhat, or through What's Up Media Network. Thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll see you all inshallah next Tuesday at 7:30 live on What's Up Media Network. Good night.